All right, guys, welcome to today's recap. It is Wednesday, April 18th, and this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group. And here is your recap. So we'll talk about all the option flow today, which there was certainly a lot of it. But let's just take a look at this. It seems like there's been a little bit of a pattern going on here. First of all, we did get a little bit of a bump after the open yesterday in the S&P, but if you're an index trader, we talk about how this kind of changes from time to time. Basically, what the overall market is doing versus what is going on in sectors, and also what the overnight move is doing versus the intraday movement. So right now, one of the things that I've noticed is that it's gone back from with the VIX dropping from in the low 20s to now all the way down to 15, it's kind of shifted back to a stock pickers market in the short term. In the last couple weeks, it seems like or basically in the last week, these moves happen pretty quick. One of the things I would notice is we really have, the S&P didn't do anything at all today. It had that little kick up again right before the open, but not a lot of movement. And if you're trading the indices right now, you're just kind of missing out on the whole movement going on within underneath the hood of the S&P. So what am I talking about? Well, today commodities were just huge, absolutely huge today in the commodity space. Not only in oil. Let me just bring up my commodity monitor. I should have had this up already. Apologize. But just some big moves going on, especially in the base metals. Crude was up nicely. Gasoline was up. I mean, look at how much crude was up today. So just big move there, which has been the case. We've seen crude rallying over the last week or so. But also look at silver. Look at palladium. Aluminum, I think, took a little bit of a breather today. Copper, I think that may be the new day for copper. We'll just kind of go through a couple of these charts. But if you look at copper, whoops, that's the wrong thing. Yeah, copper ended up 2.7% today. So you really have some big moves that are going on just away from the S&P. And that's what we do in the trading room every day is we look for these moves that are taking place and we capitalize on them. So copper with a big move today, now firmly above. We review the commodities every day pre-market live in the trading room, but notice that all the base metals were really getting a bid today. There is a base metals ETF, by the way. It's DBB. This is aluminum, copper, and zinc. Take a look at this thing today. Just huge. Of course, it has futures contracts. That's why it's gappy, because a lot of times, the move happens in the European hours, right? So, this ETF is only going to open up on U.S. time, and meanwhile, the move has already been made. But look at the strength in this base metals. We are above January's high. And then if you look at the other commodities ETF, which is DBC, that's also made a 52-week high as well. The DBC ETF, which is called the commodity ETF, is a lot of gold, a lot of oil, nat gas, both Brent and WTI crude, and gold is in here as well. I think silver might be as well as a few of the grains are also in here. So you take a look at what's been going on in this space, and yeah, I mean, we could talk about energy, which we're just seeing all kinds of energy call buying that have just been going on for about a week or so. Big move up in XLE. And it's been individual names. XOP was up another 3% today. It's been ripping for the last, since it got out of this, sideways range that I think was frustrating a lot of people. It's really gone quickly. And then if you take a look at more metals and mining, XME was up 2% today. A little bit of a tail on here. We'll see if there's any follow through on that after a gap up this morning. Steel names as well. You can look at the SLX ETF, which is going to look a little bit gappy, but up 3.3%. So again, just a casual observer, just looking at when they post what the averages did for the S&P, you're probably like, oh, pretty quiet day. No, not so much. Some of these names are really, I mean, I'm just pulling out the sectors, not even the individual names within the sectors. But, best trade for me today was Devon Energy. We saw a huge block of calls that went up 2 days ago. And it's tough because some of these are really short-term trades, so you don't know if they know something. We see a lot of short-term trades that hit the tape every day. So when something really unusual comes about like this, where they really go after it, there's 8,000 contracts. That was a $400,000 short-term trade, 52 cents. I took a target today up at $1.70, so better than a triple in Devon Energy, and just in 2 days. Put on that trade on Monday. I'm still long BHP. That's another trade that I've been touting that I think has got it could have a lot of legs to it. It finished off the highs today. Again, this is a name. This is an ADR. It trades in Australia, but I think Australia is starting to look pretty good. Some Australian securities. I like how this thing got above the this short-term downtrend, out of that channel. Also on the weekly chart, which I've talked about now a couple times. By the way, this thing finished up 3%. I did take one target in this. And it even, what's funny is I think it had a lot of people questioning because on Monday it was pretty weak. So it gave you a chance to actually add more to the shares. But again, a lot of big movers. This is a fun market when you're trading individual stocks right now. And these are just the material names. There's certainly a bunch of other names that participated today. And I'll go through the commodities were up not commodities, the transports. It's been a long day and a lot of option activity to get through. But the transports have just been absolutely ripping. There was some good results from UAL, which got the airlines going today. The truckers have been on fire since JB Hunt reported earnings. So this is the IYT, which is now above value. So again, very, very strong. Again, remember you had last week everybody saying I'm worried about Dow theory and the transports breaking down. Well, they've been on a tear this week. Take a look at this name that I talked about earlier in the week. Again, I did not put this trade on because it's tough to put a trade on in every single name. But XPO, talked about this, sent this out on Twitter when it was right here, all the way up to 109. And we actually saw some call buying in this name today, which was pretty funny because, talked about this name 2-3 days ago. But sometimes we're just, we can find these before the guys who are trading the options can find them. So again, really nice strength in a bunch of different names. Let me just share a couple other names that we're looking at today. Home Depot finally out of that this mess, I think. Just closed right at the 50-day moving average. I think a must watch for the next couple days. You got a virgin point of control up here, maybe target 180, this 185.65. We'll see if it gets going. The housing numbers have been pretty strong every time there's been a data point that's come out. DHI did not do much. That's my housing play, which I've been watching. Definitely moved in the right direction today, just not a lot of momentum. All right, so let me go through a couple of the plays on the option plays today. Again, just filled with energy names, so I'm not going to go over each one of these charts. But APC right off the bat, Oxy, these are all repeat names that we've seen before. Rig, I mean, it's just to kind of give you a visualization on some of these things. Just absolutely unbelievable the last couple weeks. I mean, this stock has gone from $10 to $12.40 in a couple weeks. That's a 24% move. Look at PSX, which is another name that's all. I mean, these refining names have been absolutely on fire. Maybe that's kind of a toppy looking candle for today. Maybe the move is basically priced in at this point with that. Shooting star looking candle. I think somebody commented that about that on Valero as well today. The refining names I think have been the best in breed in this space. Oxy's been a very strong name as well, but just on a tear these names have been in. So I talked a little bit about. Let me keep going through the option activity because there's a lot of it. IGT is interesting. There's a big. Whenever I talk about IGT, I always talk about SGMS. Big roll of January calls for SGMS, which was very, very strong today. Mentioned this name that it looked like it was ready to go, and all the casino names and gaming names were pretty strong. But look at this thing. And just plenty of open interest. But SGMS, looks like they took down 10,000 of the January 30 calls, for $21. So big profits they had. And I think I remember this trade going up probably at least 6 months ago, I want to say. And it looks like they rolled it to the January 60 calls after this big pop today. So somebody still likes it. It's still a pretty decent sized trade, but they're definitely taking some money off the table here. And there's still plenty of open interest out in the I believe in the Julys as well. So again, just turning the corner, looks really, really nice to me. Up 8.5%, up $4. So very strong. A couple of the other gamers, might as well bring up Win. I think Win has continued to be strong since it got above that line that I've got on my charts. MGM also showing some signs of life, which saw a little bit of calls. Again, I've talked about MGM now a couple times, but as choppy as it is, has made a nice move there. Just a few other names to go over, and then I want to go over a few more charts. Western Digital. So it's going to get, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but it's going to get very difficult and noisy as we're really getting into the heart of earnings season. A lot of names like Western Digital was a great looking trade, but they report earnings next week. So you just don't know what they're doing. I think the chart looks pretty good, but how long are you going to put on in Western Digital call trade? You're going to own it for a couple days, I guess, and then you have to make a decision on what you're going to do with earnings. But considering what kind of a move this thing made, and it went down just as quick, it's basically right back to that breakout zone, which you can see I've got a dotted line here. So I think that was pretty good. I think that was a pretty good looking trade. But again, you're just going to have to, maybe size down a little bit smaller. Again, and I'm not giving out any recommendations or advice. These videos are always for information purposes only. FCX, I took a lotto in this trade today. I'm looking at a gap and go. Did not close exactly on the highs, but I like the move in copper. And, I bought some calls for I think for what, 33 cents or something like that today for next week's calls. It's what I call a lotto play, but I like the risk to reward just for holding for a couple days. We'll see if these things can go. Clearly, we've went through those energy names and how quickly they've moved. Now that some of those base metals are really starting to move, I do think it's a good place to be in as well. Besides, I'm going to talk a little bit about the technology names today. I think, the Qs were up 20 basis points today. I think it was very well what I thought. Sorry, that's not a great sentence there, but I think somewhat expected after a big day yesterday where the Qs were up huge. I think just for them to kind of have a little bit of an inside day is perfectly fine. I think all those trends are intact that you saw yesterday. All those names that we went over yesterday, NTNX, Splunk. I think all these are in play for higher moves. I think having an inside day is pretty healthy. Vive is another one. I think these things can definitely, Vive has still not even had an MACD crossover. Adobe's another one that I mentioned yesterday. I think these things have more to go. It's just going to be, the sector rotation. I love these sector rotations where a couple areas are strong one day, a couple other areas are strong another day. I'll talk a little bit about the trades that I did. For some reason, somebody bought a whole bunch of SJM today. This chart looks horrendous. I'm not even going to bring it up, but I posted in the trading room today a couple small trades, but they actually sorry, this is not coming up. SMJ, I think it's a user error. See, that's still not coming up right. What am I doing wrong? SJM. I'm putting in the wrong symbol over and over again. There was just a couple of small trades that kind of came up on my radar today, these 300 and this 300. But if you look at the total volume, they traded 8,500. So again, horrible looking chart, but I don't know. Maybe something's going on. Maybe somebody's speculating on something going on in that name. Who knows? But anyway, 8,500 of those went up today. A few other names, a lot of KMI bought before earnings. I thought that trade made pretty good sense, risk to reward. I think they spent like 25 cents on calls, the 17 strike calls. I think it's up I'm still saying things incorrectly all through this video. Post-market, it's up a little bit. We'll see what it does by tomorrow's open. STX, they bought some of those. Also, some of the emerging markets are starting to look interesting. These have been kind of left for dead a little bit over the last month. Emerging markets, we started to see a little bit of call buying in FXI as well. The FXI and EWZ, the Brazil ETF, right on the cusp of. Now, I'm long some September calls, which are a little bit underwater. I did not add to the position today, but it's definitely on my radar. A couple other charts that I talked about, with this move in silver, another commodity, which is now all the way back above the 200-day moving average. Real nice pop today, up 2.5%. Take a look at some of these silver mining charts. So if you look at WPM, this is the old silver Wheaton. I think what you want to do is you want to look at some of these weekly charts. And this is what I see. And if you zoom out, this was once a $47 stock. It's just above the yearly value area. So I took this trade today in cash. It's only a $20 stock. And plus I want to play this for, a longer term move. Also PAAS, we were going over these midday. Another silver miner that looks pretty decent as well on that weekly chart. Not bad stuff. Tons of other names to go through, but this video has already been 15 minutes. We go over more names in the trading room. Just quickly, some of the trades. I've been absolutely on fire with both earnings trades. I'm 4 for 4 in earnings, and just some of the other trades that I've taken off today. The Devon, like I said, was unbelievable. SLB, which I've been holding for a while, actually is now a profitable trade. I tried to take off, take off some trades. ATVI was a big winner. Costco, basically a double, and Costco that I put on Friday. So some really good trades. Check us out, TribecaTradeGroup.com. If you are not a member, definitely try the trial for 7 days, $7, and see what we do on a daily basis. Have a great day and have a great night, everybody. See you back tomorrow, hopefully in the trading room. Thanks and have a good night.